And we are back. Rabbi Alush is a hard act to follow, is all I can tell you.
I know. I almost feel like what we're about to do is like blasphemous or something.
Why? Why? Because it is light and
we're gonna make fun of people.
Well, I'm not going to make fun of people. I just may be a smart. I mean, look, I'm from New Jersey. My natural instinct, is hey, 1, 2, 3, not for nothing, right? It's like from here to here, you're dead, right? So that's my my inner Jersey. So we're going to counterbalance the very serious and the very deep conversation with Rabbi Alush with a little more biting commentary of the insanity of the country and the world right now.
Yeah.
Right.
It is pretty insane right now.
And before we go to the videos, I do want to start with one thing.
Yeah.
So Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib.
Ugh.
Right. Another one who I hope would self-deport.
Come
but that's
on,
different.
bro. Do we have to talk about her?
Wait.
Oh, she's awful.
Wait a minute. The House
the worst.
of Representatives had a bill to condemn. Let me make sure I get this straight. Right. A voting on cracking down on the Mexican cartels and the tunnel systems. There have been over 140 that they've discovered. The vote in favor of cracking down on the cartels was 402 to 1. The only person in the House of Representatives to vote against cracking down on Mexican cartels and the tunnels that allow illegal immigrants into the country was none other than Rashida Tlaib.
Why?
Which raises the question of, thank you very much. Have you been reading my notes?
I'm sorry. Did I steal your punchline? I'm sorry.
No, that wasn't the punchline. That was the question. So one has to ask oneself, 402, that means every single Democrat who was there, right?
Yeah.
435 members.
So
that means there were like 20 or some odd, there's probably 32.
No
so the squad was probably not there. So there might have been others, but in that House vote, one vote against cracking down on the Mexican cartels and the tunnel system. You have to ask yourself why.
Yeah. Did she say why?
I want you, of course not. But I want your insight.
Because she's a criminal and she benefits from it. I mean, like, real talk. Like, what is that? Like, why? The only thing I can think now, here's the deal, y'all. I haven't read the bill. So maybe it says something in there wild that I would vote against, but I'm never usually on the same side as Rashida Tlaib. So, I mean, unless you're just being obstinate, just to be obstinate, the only other reason to vote against it would be that you benefit from it somehow.
I think you're getting warmer.
Okay,
the question is, how would she benefit? And
getting bad people in the country?
Ooh, you're getting even warmer, right? There's only one possible reason. Right?
Okay. Tell me.
If you want illegal immigrants to continue to come into this country, then you want to change the demographics of the country. That's what illegal immigration was for, and therefore you want to take down America from within.
Yeah.
Right now, people say, "Oh, you're being extreme." No, that's the logical conclusion of unfettered illegal immigration. And even, by the way, that bill that they say, well, the Republicans during the Biden administration could have had a bill on illegal immigration, right? But they didn't want to sign it.
Yeah, because it was a garbage bill.
Well, that bill would have capped it at 5,000 illegal immigrants a day. Like, you can be kind of pregnant, right? And it's 5,000 illegal immigrants a day, which 5,000 times 365 days. I don't know. That's like 1,000,008 and change.
Yeah, dude. That's why that's why nobody signed it. It didn't actually solve the problem. And then you're like, oh, but it's totally fine if we have we'll let 5,000 of you in a day, but that's it. Okay. Yeah, but just get in line.
But not 5,001.
Yeah. And then we give them, and how many of them have they figured out? Has Doge figured out? They've given Social Security benefits and disability, food, housing. Oh, good.
I got it. All right. So that's my event thing, because 402 to 1 in any event.
Yep.
Your turn.
Yeah. My turn. What? My turn what?
I don't know.
Oh, are we going on to the next part? Is that me leading this?
You had some things you wanted to show me. You wanted this live reaction. You want live reactions, and I am in a live reaction mood.
Oh, okay. So why don't we start with this one? This one is, since we were just talking about is real. You know, a big hubbub in the news lately has been this guy, Ian Carroll, who went on the Joe Rogan podcast and said that Epstein worked for Israeli intelligence.
Out of all the information that's getting disclosed, supposedly this administration, what do you have the least faith that we're going to come to
Epstein,
a conclusion?
for sure.
Epstein.
And I think it's because of Israel. I
Really?
think that when you really dig into Epstein, his entire network was Israel. It was clearly it was targeting American officials and the American president.
Right.
And the CIA does have interest in those targets too. Elements in the CIA does. Certainly they had help from the CIA, and certainly they had help from these other organized crime and intelligence operations. But I'm looking at, okay, Dan, so if this giant group of Jewish billionaires is running a sex trafficking operation targeting American politicians and business people and stuff, you think they're working with an Arab or Muslim nation in the Middle East? Like, you think that Leslie Wexner is devoting his entire life to philanthropies on behalf of Israel, but then he's going to work for Saudi Arabia when he's doing this trafficking?
So the argument...
Okay, well, okay. First of all, he doesn't say that the Mossad. He never says, he says Israel, doesn't say Mossad. But what are you trying to get me to believe, that the Israeli government was setting up a sex trafficking ring to ensnare U.S. politicians? Is that what this is?
Well, that's what he's saying. My thought is, so there is a credible connection. Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, her dad was in the Mossad. So that is real. That is known. That is something that is out there.
And that has to do with the price of tea in China. How?
I mean, you don't think that the girlfriend of Jeffrey Epstein, whose father was in the Israeli version of the CIA, you don't think that that's weird?
So you're trying to tell me that all these pedophiles, politicians are pedophiles, and they're being exposed to be controlled by... First of all, who is this guy again?
I don't even know.
I know who Jim
remember.
Rogan is.
I'm not saying I agree with him by any stretch of the imagination. However, and I'm not saying this was all just like an Israeli job, like Epstein was all Israeli. Obviously, the only way he could operate was with the permission of the United States government, and we know that. So I would think it would be a joint operation.
Back up. Can you give me that again? The only way who's able to operate is with
Epstein. He was criminally charged and let go by the United States government.
Well, that's because there's two tiers of system of justice. I get that part. I mean, you'll get no arguments out of me on that one.
But you cannot operate a system like that. You can't have a worldwide trafficking ring and nobody knows about it. I just don't believe that.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure he has a worldwide trafficking ring. What I know about Epstein is they flew people to the island, right off of St. Thomas, Epstein Island, and they brought in young underage girls, and they brought in politicians, and some did probably, and some didn't. And how is that a worldwide ring? Especially if you're targeting U.S. officials. Look, I'm not defending any of this, right? I think it was wrong. I think Epstein was probably murdered in prison. I have no proof of any of that, but. Okay, so the guy goes on Joe Rogan and says that it's all an Israel operation because Jewish billionaires, right? And by the way, last time I checked, Bill Gates was not a Jewish billionaire. I can give you a list of the other ones that are not Jewish billionaires. Yeah. So again, I think my concern with shit like that is they're feeding into the trope, and to those old stereotypes, Jews, money, billionaires, Israel, and look, countries.
So you don't think it's weird that his girlfriend's father was Mossad? You don't think that?
Well, first of all, I've never heard that before. Okay, so I'll take it. I'll take it at face. I will take that at face value, because Ericka, you're never wrong about those things. But
you should tell my husband that.
I did. It didn't go over really well.
Yeah. I think part of the problem, one of the things that worries me is you have all these people coming out saying all this stuff, and we know enough bits and pieces that people, with their tinfoil hats are going to start questioning stuff. And if nobody comes out and says, no, here's why it's wrong, or here's the truth, right? We're still waiting on those Epstein files, Pam Bondi, okay? Okay. So it unfortunately it like gives fuel for people to build more theories, you know? So Pam,
Well,
my girl, we're waiting on you.
You know what they say about opinions.
Yes, I was going to
Everybody,
say something and I
yeah.
stopped myself.
Well,
Okay.
Well, you can bleep yourself out, but they're like, you know, because everyone has.
They're
them.
like
Let's right. Let's move on. Next topic.
All right. So, another clip that was super fun in the news this week was Charlie Kirk was Gavin Newsom's first guest on his brand new podcast. Can you believe that?
I love that.
I know. Let's watch.
I hope you guys retreat.
You kind of like the
more
advice.
for us.
You like
I mean,
the advice.
there's no opposition. There's no activist spark. You guys are posting these cringe videos on social media.
What are the videos? What are the ones?
I don't know.
most
This
cringy?
like harmonious thing of like 22 senators all saying the same
Oh, you
thing.
didn't like that, yeah.
I didn't like it.
What
I mean,
do you-
go
what do
ahead. Go do more of that.
What do you do?
Please.
What do you do? Seriously, Charlie Kirk, give us some
Get
advice.
better ideas, Governor. To President Trump's credit, he also harmonized with the strategy by going on podcasting and using TikTok. He personified what a lot of young people, especially young men, wanted back in their politics, which was an ascendant rebel attitude against these institutions that have failed them so miserably.
Against
Love it,
institutions that have absolutely spot on. Look, I told you we did a poll. You know, I used to do a bunch of extensive polling under Electoral Science Institute back in 16 and 15 when Trump was running, and we found an interesting synergy between Trump supporters and Bernie Sanders supporters. And
Yes.
and the synergy was they wanted to burn it down, right? They wanted to disrupt the system. So I think what Charlie Kirk is saying is absolutely correct. I also think that what he said that, you guys, Democrats need better ideas. I mean, they used to make fun of the Republicans with Handmaid's Tales or whatever that thing was.
Yeah.
Watch those videos again, of all these women, pretending they're boxing or whatever. If that's not Handmaid's Tales, Democrat style, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it is. Here's the thing. Everyone can tell when they're being pandered to. We have entered the panderverse. These Democrats are, what was the one we watched? They were doing like a Smash Brothers, like they were characters in a video game. It was so cringe. You guys are trying too
the word pathetic
hard.
comes to mind.
Yeah, you're trying too hard to be cool, bro. Like if you have to try that hard, you're not cool. Okay?
As opposed to me, right?
You're always cool, Robert.
Because I just
okay?
exude coolness, right? Of
You
course,
just,
not
especially when you talk about how you only watch movies with dead people.
I only watch movies with dead people. There you go.
Okay, so let's see.
And by the way, last point, 100% correct. Right now, I think they'll regroup, but right now the Democratic Party has a battle for their soul, and the people leading the party, which is the hard left or the squad sort of wing of the party, is morally bankrupt and has no ideas how to connect with the American public. They are lost in the wind.
You know what? Speaking of lost in the wind, I wanted to ask Rabbi Alush this question, but I wasn't sure if it was inappropriate.
As opposed to Gone with the Wind, right?
Which has a bunch of dead people in it. Yes.
Right. I love that.
What
did you want to ask the rabbi?
What he thought about Donald Trump talking about basically making Judea into a resort, a beachside resort. Like, what he thought about that? What do you think about that, Robert?
First of all, I think it's a great idea. I want to buy beachfront property now. You can get it at a steal. No, look, I think it is.
Too soon.
Too soon. Well, I think a couple of things. Number one, if you want to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. And the two-state solution has been around for so long, and it's what he said. It's what Rabbi Alush said, right? Einstein's definition of insanity is repeating the same failed procedure and expecting a different result. So it's an out-of-box thinking. And don't forget, the Egyptians are now come to the table with some of the other Middle East countries with an alternative proposal.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the two-state solution is dead. And whether it's, Trump Gaza or Saudi Arabia Gaza, or I had a friend of mine put forth the theory that he thinks it's going to be some sort of international protectorate. But at the end of the day, Hamas is done, right? Hamas is done, and they have to be done because even after they're defeated, and by all intents and purposes, they're already defeated, it will be generational before you, through education, the children that are growing up, have to, grow old and die of natural causes, hopefully, before you're going to generationally shift that. So it doesn't matter as much what you do in the geography, but you've got to stop the hemorrhaging, which is the hatred, which are the same thing.
Yes. Yep. And Ben sent me Robert Maxwell's Wikipedia, y'all. So forgive me. He was not officially part of the Israeli government. He was actually part of the British government.
Well, that I
British.
know. Excuse me.
What'd
That
you
I
say,
know.
Ben? Yeah, I forgot about that part.
But are you guys going to be fighting later? Because he just like told you were.
No, he said something, but he doesn't.
Wrong.
No, he said something, but he knows that I can't hear him with my headphones in, so I don't know why he's being a silly goose face.
What?
Oh, just hold on.
What?
Hold on, I unmuted you,
It's
Ben.
saying the only things I could find said that he had links to MI6, KGB, and Mossad, but links. It doesn't get the details of that. And it does say that 6 serving and former heads of Israeli intelligence services attended his funeral in Israel, while Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir eulogized him.
Oh,
So what you're basically saying is he knew people there, therefore he's
Correct.
guilt by. So this is guilt by association. Ericka.
I mean, maybe.
Ericka.
I'm just saying his daughter ended up being the girlfriend of a major human trafficking ring.
Okay, that's a far cry from what you were saying before. And look, I'm not justifying it. And maybe it was, and maybe it was. I don't know.
I
mean,
don't
look, they say in 1969 that the U.S. landed on the moon. I wasn't there to see it. I saw it on TV. For all I know, they staged it in the Arizona desert, and we've never been to the moon.
I mean,
don't know.
This is the thing. See, this is part of the thing. Is like,
Do you know what it's?
how do we know? You don't
know what it
know
comes
unless
from?
you're what?
Do you know what it comes from? It comes from faith. At some point, faith is always before the fact, because if it's not before the fact and if it's after the fact, it's not faith, it's hindsight. So at some point, right, if you get more information, but to those allegations, it was KGB. Okay, so he hung around with people in high places, and by the way, was he, let's figure out the nexus between the Mossad, the KGB, MI6, right? So, and back in that day, they were at odds with each other. So maybe he was a double agent, or maybe he was a triple agent.
And here's the thing. Our governments suck, bro. Like, the government sucks. They do stupid things. And I'm willing to believe anything.
Really?
Honestly. Pretty much.
I'm 6'2".
Absolutely, dude. The water really is turning the frogs gay, okay? Like, what is it? The difference between the truth and a conspiracy theory is 6 months?
I got it. Let's go on to the next topic.
Or a conspiracy theory? Truth, sorry. Wait, which one? Okay, so hold on. Okay, so this one's about Newsom talking about the transgenders.
Governor Gavin Newsom taking some criticism after his comments about trans athletes in women's sports, making headlines this evening. Take a listen.
Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. It is an issue of fairness. So it's deeply unfair. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility and a grace. That these poor people are more likely to commit suicide, have anxiety and depression. And the way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I have a hard time with as well.
Those comments during the newly released first episode of his new podcast as he hosted conservative political commentator Charlie Kirk. Some members of Newsom's party have criticized him for saying it's unfair for trans athletes to compete in women's sports. Critics include Democratic State Senator Scott Wiener, who called Newsom's agreement with Kirk on the issue profoundly disturbing. This all comes as Kirk spoke during an event at CSUN, which brought out both supporters and protesters. Kirk has become a polarizing figure for what many call racist and anti-Semitic comments in the past. He founded the organization Turning Point USA, which has been criticized by both the Anti-Defamation League and the NAACP. He's also garnered strong support from many.
I think if you are criticized by the, what was that? The Justice League.
Wait a minute. Let's go back to this.
All those groups.
Let's go back to this comment. First of all, he was against it before he was for it, right? It's the quintessential sailboard guy, right? He's got to go that way on the wind, and then he goes that way. So all it tells you is the guy's trying to rehab his image, run for president. Excuse me. He doesn't have time to open up the reservoirs in LA County to make sure there's water against the fire, and he can't run the government, but he has time to do a freaking podcast. That's number one. Now, number two, love the fact that Charlie Kirk was on the podcast, but for him to now say that he's against women, men competing in women's sports, is about as nakedly political of a pivot as I have ever seen. And then he's talking about the humility of the, of the essentially the oppressed community. Governor, methinks thou dost protest too much. He doesn't give a damn.
He basically.
You want my reaction? That's my reaction.
He basically tried to stand on the fence and be like, oh, well, I understand both sides. And what he ended up doing was making everyone mad. You didn't make anybody happy with that response.
Here is my prediction. Governor Gavin Newsom is Al Gore 2.0. Al Gore, by his own father's admission, was raised, quote unquote, raised to be president. Didn't quite get there. Gavin Newsom, raised in Presidio and all that in San Francisco, was raised to be president. He will never be president, and he will never even be the Democratic nominee in 4 years from now, because there is nothing more pathetic than a politician out of office, which is what is going to be by the time that happens. And the podcast, smart as it is, ain't going to save him.
Nope. All right, y'all. We've got a few more funny clips that we're going to be reacting to.
Aren't you glad you're doing this with me?
If you've been watching this long, we thank you so much. If you've gotten something out of it, go ahead and leave a like. And if you think it sucks, go ahead and leave a downvote, because here's the deal. Yeah. All engagement is engagement. So leave us a comment. Make sure to share it around. All right. Hate watch. We like hate watchers too. We'll take it. Okay, so now we're going to watch the ever so tolerant left talk about voting for Trump.
Well, I'm a woman, and I get a lot out of going to church. I love the people. It's very moving.
I didn't know you went to church.
Oh, yeah. We go every Sunday. Yeah, ever since we moved to Austin.
Is it like a real Texan church? Like with Bible thumpers and...
Well, the people are, more conservative than like LA people or like New York.
Mm-hmm. Is that weird for you?
Why would it be weird?
I don't know. If I was just around a bunch of Texans who voted for Trump, I guess I'd just feel a little alienated.
They're nice people. Really good families.
Cool. But do you ever talk politics with them?
Sometimes.
It doesn't get awkward?
Why would it?
Because. Wait. Are you a Republican?
No. Oh. I'm an independent. But Dave is.
An independent? Mm-hmm. Since when?
I love it, you guys. So, this is a good demonstration.
So this
was
White Lotus. This was White Lotus, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Now, are they having this conversation in Thailand? Because I thought White Lotus takes place in Thailand.
You know what? I'm not going to lie. I have no idea what this is. Our Miss Maria, our social media manager, sent it to us. So apparently this is going around.
Because here's what I have to say. If it was in Thailand, Pompu Tai Dai Neat Noi. Never mind.
What just happened?
I wasn't swearing. I wasn't swearing.
Wait, are you?
You're beeping me out. So
you know how to speak. What language do they speak in Thailand?
Thai.
Thai?
It's sort of like what color was George Washington's white horse? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pompu Tai Dai Neat Noi.
That's what you're saying? George Washington?
No, it says I speak a little. It says actually it's I speak a little Thai. I'm not sure I got the dialect right. Oh no, I have all the important things like Hong Nam Yutinai, which means where's the bathroom? Because if you're going to go to Thailand, it's a long way to hold it on the plane. first thing off the plane, right? So can we get back to the Trump thing? Or not?
The Trump thing? Which Trump thing?
Well, the fact that, first of all, the reference to Bible thumpers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You're a Bible thumper.
Because if you believe in Jesus or you're a Christian, you must be a bad person. Don't you know, Robert?
Where does the term Bible thumper come from?
Beating people over the head with a Bible, basically.
I find it hard to believe that that's where Bible thumper comes from, but I'm sure Lord Redic will find that for us.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing: you didn't vote for Trump, did you? Oh, I'm an independent. And by the way, they obviously don't answer that, but I think that's coming on now, because what I find is that most people now have the balls to speak up and say, "Oh, yes, I did," whereas 2 years ago, they weren't doing it, and even during the Trump years. All right, the term Bible thumper originates from the practice of some preachers physically thumping or hitting the Bible with their hand while delivering a sermon. So, Ericka, once again, you thought they were using it as a cudgel and beating people with the Bible.
People did that.
I'm going to thump you. Which is a term, right? So, did you ever get beat with a Bible? Is that what you're telling me?
No, but I did have family members that are Christians that are the reason why people hate Christians.
So Lord Redic says, beat them with the Bible spiritually. Well, a spiritual beating I'm into.
Not physically beat them, just with the word.
No, not physically beat, but it's spiritual. Look. Some people need a beating either way. So spiritually or physically, which, by the way, when I see all these protests at like Barnard in Columbia, they all need a beating, right? Because they hide behind their little mask. We're going to end this show where we started, right? If you have the courage of your convictions, take off the mask and let's see who you really are. But they don't want to do that because they need not only a spiritual beating, but a physical one. And Ericka, we're done.